What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about another engineering book. Crazy work, right? Engineering and the Mind's Eye. I finished it. I'm going to be finishing a lot of engineering books this coming month, most likely. I have in my head for this year, 2026, to read a bunch of engineering books because I graduated college and whatnot. But, anyways, this book, it was okay. Um, there was a reason it was staring at me on my shelf for so long. Um, so this book is a little under 200 pages, and it feels like it's 400. And one of the reasons for that is because most books, I have one right here, are this width, right? And this, oh my god, I just screwed over that. But you see what I mean? Like it's a little thickums, little wide and long. So, we do get some nice little diagrams throughout. But man, these like last few pages were brutal because there was no diagrams, nothing to really stimulate me. And this book consists of 7 chapters. The first was The Nature of Engineering, which in turn just kind of talks about how it's kind of in man's nature to engineer things and solve problems. And it's like a natural part of life. Like, think of the Wright brothers with their, invention of the airplane, or going all the way back to the Stone Age. We invented a wheel to carry things around more easily. The kitty cat's in here. Anyways, let's see. What else do we have? I want to kind of go through the chapters and see if any fellow engineers have this in mind. I want to kind of go through, when I make these videos, I kind of want to go through and talk about, like, go chapter by chapter. So, The Mind's Eye, that whole chapter, well, maybe not chapter by chapter, because some books have like 100 chapters, and I ain't doing all that. But anyways, chapter 2 is The Mind's Eye, and that essentially is, as a person does, they can envision things in their head. The problem is getting it out on paper, making it a reality. Anyone can have the greatest idea known to man. Dude, you decide to quit napping now? Anyways, anyone can have the greatest idea known to man, but the problem is taking it from here and putting it outside. So it talks about how what a lot of engineers used to do is they would literally just think up the problem, like think up a design and try and implement it just based off what they had in their noodle, and they would write these rough sketches and have these rough ideas. And that's why a lot of buildings collapsed and bridges collapsed in the 40s and 50s. A lot of stuff was written on paper, like this big drafting paper, and then it got to the orthographic views, which most engineers now know as the front view, the top view, and the right view. That's pretty standard unless left view is favored because it shows more of what is needed. But we developed that system, and then we eventually got computer-aided design, which I thought was very interesting because I had no idea, because it's before I was born. It was in the 80s. It was in 88 and 89 they started introducing computer-aided design, and a lot of engineers were like, no, this is awful. It's going to make people lazy, and it's going to go wrong. And it actually was, they were wrong about that. It actually was better because it made things safer. A lot less bridges are going to fall down and buildings are going to fall down because of computer-aided design, because it can find areas that are going to take on more stress than a person might initially think. And that's why some bridges have collapsed in the past, because a person was like, it's made of good material, it has a good structure, good base, it's not going to fall down. It's fine, right? But they do. Another interesting thing was the introduction of engineering technologies. I'm an MET major. I am in engineering technology, so my surprise when they brought this up, because that was not something I thought of, that was also heavily criticized because a lot of regular engineers were like, dude, we're like, they're not going to know enough. And then they were so surprised to find out that all these technology majors are way more pragmatic, way more practical in the field. And then a lot of the regular base engineers are really good on theory and analytics when it comes to stuff like that. But yeah, this book was all right. It was a slog, but I mean, I kind of anticipated that. It goes through the origins of modern engineering. It talks about tools and development with visualization. But yeah, I think that's all I really want to say about this. I've been yapping for almost 6 minutes about this book. That's crazy. I didn't like it that much. I think it's somewhat interesting if you're like me and you want to know a bunch about engineering. I don't even know if I can say it's worth your time. I personally would give it like a 3 out of 5, a 6 out of 10. I'd say it's above average. It's not the worst thing I've read by far. Honorable mention to one of the worst things I've read for engineering books is The Choice by Eliyahu Goldratt. Not worth your time. Do not read that. I would recommend The Goal and perhaps Critical Chain by him, but do not read The Choice. That was buns. So yeah, if you're wanting an engineering book, have at it. If you're not, you're not. Anyways, that's it. Have a great day.